Welcome and thank you all for joining us today. We're here to discuss our curls, coils, and textured hair care line. My name is Khadijah, your resident hair model, and this is Candace. Candace is our stylist for today. This hair care line came out about a year ago, same time. And when we launched a documentary called Naturally that walked us through 3 experiences of living in natural hair, living in curly coil textured hair, what that is like presenting into the world, and some of the intimate experiences of getting your hair done and using the line. And it should be really fun today as we get to kind of recreate the feeling of that documentary. So I'll just take a moment to fully introduce myself. Outside of being our hair model today, I am an employee at Lush. I've been at Lush for about 5 years, and I support a number of stores on our East Coast as a market leader. And Candace, I'll give you a moment to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Candace Witherspoon, and I am a curl specialist. I own a salon in New York City, in Chelsea, and I just got connected with Lush, and I love the products, and I'm so excited to use the products today on the Khadiyjah so you can see how wonderful it is.
So exciting, because prior to this hair care line, even as a Lush employee, our hair care wasn't something that I used a lot, and now it's the only hair care products that I use in my hair. So Candace will be walking us through how to use it, how to style with it, and a beautiful routine and regimen.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what we are going to do today. I'm gonna show you my beautiful model. She has super curly hair. We're going to be using the full line, everything in this line we're going to use today to show you how we can get her curls to be more hydrated, more moisturized, with more definition. Okay, so first we're going to wash her hair. We're going to use the conditioner. We're going to use the leave-in. We are going to use the styling cream. Yeah, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, so just the whole shebang of the line here. We're starting with avocado co-wash, which is a reusable shampoo bar. Has a great amount of avocado in there. It actually has some rosemary and nettle, which I find is really great on my scalp because I have psoriasis, and it really cleanses my hair but leaves a great deal of moisture in. And then from there, as Candace said, we'll go to our Super Milk, which is a primer and leave-in conditioner that's a part of our lock method, followed by Renee Shea Souffle, which is a solid oil. It's a really amazing way to sealing moisture. And we'll wrap it up with our Curl Power, which is a beautiful curl cream that I find really defines my curls and keeps the moisture in for a while.
Awesome. So come on over, take you over.
Yay.
Khadiyjah has about a 4A texture, 4B texture. If you're familiar with the textures, it starts from 2 to 4. So it starts from 2A to 4C. And you have to be careful what products you use on those textures. Today we're going to be focusing on someone who has a lot of hair, needs a lot of moisture. So she needs more moisture. She needs a lot of water on her hair. You want to make sure her texture is saturated with water before you even start using products. Okay?
Yeah, it's funny when I'm in the shower, I have to kind of let my hair sit under the running water for about 2 minutes before I even feel it's touching my scalp.
Yep. I like the bar because you can also control where you're putting your products, you know what I mean? And you can really get like an even distribution without overusing the products. Okay, so now I'm about to work in the products, right? So I have my bar in there in my hands. And then you just want to make sure you wet it a little bit. Lather it up and start to work it in the hair. And this is a co-wash bar, and usually when you're using a co-wash, it doesn't really lather. That's been the issue for a lot of people. And I find this gives you a really good lather. It feels like you're cleansing your hair, even though it's like a co-wash.
Yeah, that's another thing I love about it. It's been so hard to find products that didn't have SLS in it when I wanted to, really cleanse my hair. And like you said, being a co-wash, it's so shocking that it does the cleansing but keeps the moisture.
Yeah. So you just kind of want to like work it in, right? Work it in sections.
what's so great right now that Candace and I are enjoying is the smell. It's this like sweet, kind of creamy tropical scent. Imagine having your hair washed with coconuts and avocados, laying in the beach, getting a good scrubbing on your scalp. That's where I am right now.
All right, so we just did the amazing co-wash. Now we're going with Glory, our most moisture retention conditioner.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you saw Khadijah's hair before, you could see that she needed a little bit of moisture, get some moisture, right?
Yeah, we did. We needed some moisture there, and this one is a coconut cream base. So when we say moisture, we're gonna really pack my hair with the coconut cream from the Glory.
Yeah.
And what I love about this one is as we're conditioning it, there's gonna be a good slip.
Yeah. There's
this okra inside, keeps my curls kind of bouncy, but adds that nice slip.
And it isn't moisture that weighs your hair down, you know? I feel like it's just enough where you can really saturate in there. You can get a good detangle. You can detangle your hair really nicely with it. I think it's very important to be able to use a product that, your conditioner that helps you detangle your hair, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you're in the shower, you're going to go ahead and do like the finger raking, kind of what Candace is doing now. And I find when I'm in the shower, using the Glory is really easy to rake my fingers through and get the product in really well.
And I love to use water too. Water is your best friend.
Really?
Yeah, because you need water when you're working in your products.
Look at that. It's okay to add a little bit of water while we're conditioning. I'm always so nervous, like, oh, if I put the water, is it going to start rinsing out so soon? So that's good to know.
No, water is really good. I like to take small sections when I'm raking through my products.
That's good to know. Sometimes, you know, you're going fast, you forget to separate it, and then I find that if I use like a big, huge scoop of it, then the product isn't even. So small sections, remember.
How do you feel?
Good.
Good?
Yeah,
your scalp feels clean?
I was going to say, yeah, my scalp feels refreshed. Okay, wow, so that feels really great. My scalp is so cool feeling, so clean. We use our avocado co-wash bar, has a great amount of avocado in there, so my hair, you know, just feeling it and just having Candace round hands through, I know it's nice and moisturized still. And then we followed up with our Glory conditioner, and Glory has a lot of beautiful coconut cream, some okra for good slip, and olive oil that's gonna keep it nice and moisturized and hydrated. And then we're gonna go into our detangling step. And it's really great because we're gonna use what we call conditioning hair primer, first step in the lock method, if that's something you use.
Awesome.
Right.
So we have the Super Milk conditioning hair primer. And what I like to do is kind of spray this all over the hair after cleansing, after conditioning. You can split your hair in sections. So I'm gonna go in there and just kind of like do a part with my fingers, you know, and spritz it in there, lift the hair up. Again, it depends on the hair texture and density. If you have low density, I wouldn't use so much because this is super hydrating, so you don't need so much, okay? Khadijah have, you know, a good amount of hair, so I'm gonna use enough so I hydrate her. And I get a good slip in there.
It was really great too. As you're spraying, the Super Milk is also like really calming on my scalp. There's oat milk as the base, and I have psoriasis, so again, the oat milk followed with the rosemary, nettle, and lavender from the co-wash is really gonna keep my scalp nice and healthy. So it feels so great.
Nice. So you just get to work it in there. And you can really feel that, you can see that slip. It just goes right through. You can use your fingers or you can use a brush. You can use a brush. I love a good brush. Always start from the bottom and just work your way up.
Yeah, funny story, when first went natural, I had no idea that I should start from the ends and work my way up, and I lost a lot of hair in the process. But what's so great again about the mix of where we are with the co-wash, the conditioner, and now the primer is even if we were to kind of slip up, start from the middle of the shaft, the slip in my hair right now is just so really great.
I like to do a good detangling section. Also, this is a really good detangler as well, to take those extra knots out of the hair that you didn't get through when you did after the conditioning. So I find this is really, really nice for people who get those extra tangles in their hair. And I work my way to the top and just keep brushing through. And then we're gonna work in our next product,
which is the Renee Shea Souffle, one of my absolute favorites in the line. It's our oil, and you'll find when you get the product that is solid, when Candace puts it on her fingers and rubs it in, though, the body temperature will melt it down to this beautiful oil consistency. And putting that on top of the primer helps to seal in a bit more moisture. And I find shea butter works really well in my hair, retains the moisture from the product.
Awesome. So we're going to go into our Shea Souffle, which I love. It's not your typical oils. It's very light, not that heavy, right? I love the smell too.
Yeah. Again, it's the product line shares a scent. So it lives on you for a while. You have this beautiful scent in your hair.
So I use just, you can see a little goes a long way. I use just a tiny bit, I'll say like a dime size. And I start at the ends with these. Like to really start at the ends, because you're kind of like sealing in the ends.
And it's shea butter, there's some coconut oil in there, almond, all just really nutritious, hydrating ingredients that keep the moisture sealed in, which again is so important in my 4B, maybe a little 4A in some areas, but and my 4B textured hair keeps the moisture really sealed in so well.
Very concentrated, so you don't really have to take small sections. I like to glide it in.
You know, as you're working it in there, Candace, before we came out with this hair care line, I found I couldn't use any of our Lush products. Just the amount of moisture that I needed. I tended to go through these routines where I spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars trying to find the right product that's gonna keep the moisture in my hair, where I didn't have to do a conditioning rinse every single week. And when we came out with this hair care line last year, it's been a beautiful journey exploring each of the products and adding them into my routine. And it's actually the only products that I use on my hair now. There's something for everything. If I'm not washing, I can put the Shea Souffle in to add a bit of moisture. I can spray the super milk in to revive my curls. And when we get to the cream, you'll see the Curl Power cream just keeps everything so soft in my hair.
We have this all worked in. Your hair feels so good, so good. And we're getting ready for the final step. What is our final step?
Yes, so that is our C in the lock method, the cream.
Yes.
We have Curl Power hair cream. And what's great about the method is the super milk, the primer, the leave-in conditioner is our liquid. And again, the Shea Souffle is our solid oil. And once you're done with those, the cream seals it all in.
So the lock method is when you use like an oil before a cream, and you try to lock in your products together to create moisture retention. Okay, this is for someone who you know, some people suffer a lot with retaining moisture. They need those extra products, those extra hydrating products, to make sure the hair stays for a long period of time. So I definitely recommend this method for someone who is looking for longevity moisture retention.
Yeah, and 100%. That's exactly what this product line has done for me. I'm ready for some cream in my hair.
Some cream in here, right? So we're going to start to work in our creams. This cream is really good, but you want to use, it's very important that you use this in small sections, and you want to make sure your hair is wet enough to take in the products. I think sometimes a lot of mistakes that happen is we put products on our hair and the hair is not wet enough, so it doesn't really go in, and you might not get the result that you're looking for. Okay, so we're going to start from the back. I love to start from the back, take small sections and just work in the cream. All right, so take your spray bottle. You can style your hair two ways. You can style your hair in the shower. You can style your hair out of the shower. I recommend if you're putting products in your hair out of the shower, you should definitely have a good spray bottle to keep adding water. There's no way you can add products on your hair without enough water. It's just, it wouldn't work.
I think that's important too, because there's so much that in learning to do my hair, like my natural hair, from having my hair relaxed since I was actually 4 years old. You just never think about the fact that if you don't have enough water, the product isn't really staying in your hair as well. And I think without the water, it feels like it sits on top. Is that what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the goal for the water is just that you're not using, when you have enough water in your hair, you will not use a lot of products, and you also will be able to work in your products so much more. So less is more with our hair cream, for sure. You can always add more, but it's hard to take away products from your hair. Right? It's hard to take away products from your hair, so I start with less. And if I need a little bit more, I always go back in for more. Now I like to use a brush. You can use your brush. Again, you can use a brush or your fingers. There are multiple ways to put products in your hair. Depending on the curl texture, you have to find which way is best for you. Today I'm using the brush and my fingers. Your fingers are very important.
And when you say the fingers are important, are you coiling it or are you just raking it through?
I'm just raking it through.
Okay.
Now coiling is a different method, right? That you can put your products in there. We have a few different methods to put products in our hair, right? We have twist outs, which you do as well. We have a wash and go.
And today we're doing a wash and go for all the folks out there watching. And this is so great because, again, as I started my hair care journey, I was like, oh, I'm gonna wet my hair and I'm gonna have some curls and I'm gonna just get to go outside with all my lovely bouncy curls. And as anyone who has 4ABC here knows, it's not so simple to just wash and go. But what I do find simple is following this step, raking the hair through with my fingers, similar to what Candace is doing at home. I use a brush to just comb it all through. And as we know, the curls just stay so defined and so beautiful, raking the product or combing the product in each section. Other ways, Candace mentioned the coil. So similar when you're putting the product in your hair, you can use this product and do the coils for each strand.
Or you can twist it in your hair, right? You can do twists, you can do braid outs, right? All different ways to style your hair.
Yeah, when I use the product, I do a twist out and just a 2-strand twist. Make sure that I'm twisting the hair as I'm twisting it around. And to keep the length of my curls, I use our knot wraps. So at Lush, we have these beautiful knot wraps that are made from recycled plastic. And it has a nice silky consistency, so it keeps the moisture in my hair as well, and it keeps the length after I do the twist out. So yeah, while we're doing, we're combing out my hair, it's just reminding me of where I started in my natural hair journey. When I was young, having curly hair or tight coils was something actually pretty frowned upon, and my parents decided to give me a relaxer around 4 years old, We lived on a military base at the time, and there weren't a lot of other little girls who had hair texture similar to mine. And I remember being so excited when my hair was straight, and we did the relaxers, and we sat through the pain, the burning, and everything of what a relaxer can bring to your hair. And I went through life that way, relaxing my hair, breaking off, finding that I couldn't keep length and just keep straightening because I thought it was easier to do, that it would fit in places, fit in school and things like that. And then actually around the time I started working for Lush, so right before, 6 years ago, I did a relaxer and the front of my hair broke off, and I couldn't understand why. And I decided that was it. That was enough. I'm going to keep my natural hair and be able to, just let it grow in its glory and go outside comfortable with the way my hair simply grows from my scalp. And in that journey, there takes a bit understanding the porosity of my hair, the types of ingredients that work really well. And it just was the perfect time that I started at Lush and started to understand just natural ingredients, just in general, right? Just for my skin and my daughter's hair and skin, and realizing that all of the chemicals and things that I put in my hair along the way were really adding to the breakage in hair where I thought my hair was straight and nice and it fit in with my friends and things, that I caused so much damage along the way. Over the 5 or so years before using this product, I tried so many different things, and coming to find honey and shea butter works so amazing in my hair, and also the avocado oil, that now using these products has been such a beautiful change. I don't have to worry about the ingredients, if they're stripping my hair, if they're causing harm, even if it looks good. My hair feels so much softer, and it retains shine really great with the products. There's citrus and lemon in a couple of the range here. And even when we brought the product line out, watching the documentary Naturally, it reminded me of time I spent with my daughters, time my mom spent with me doing my hair. And
it's beautiful.
Thanks, Candace.
It's beautiful. I think, it's natural hair is so special to us, Black women. The journey is very personal, right? Mm-hmm. The journey is personal. I got my first relaxer at like 7, right?
Yeah.
And I still remember the day, and I'm like 32, but and I remember it burned so much. Mm-hmm. And then about 10 years ago, I relaxed my hair from 7 until I was 20 something. And I just remember being like, I don't want to do this no more. I don't need to have straight hair. Yeah. And I shaved my hair off. I went bald. And it was like a journey to become a different person. Yeah. Because when you become natural, you become a different person.
It's almost like you kind of become yourself. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I was a bit nervous even in the transition, understanding that this represents accepting me. Yeah. Accepting who I am and how I present to the world, and feeling I didn't need to use something to feel comfortable in spaces anymore. Yeah. I did the big chop. So I transitioned. I was so scared to cut it all off and go bald. So, I really admire you for making the decision to just do it. Yeah. My transition took about 2 years till I got to a point where I was comfortable to trim off all the permed and relaxed ends on my hair. Uh-huh. And my second week at Lush, I cut my weave out, and I was like, that's it. I'm going to wear these curls to work. And it was fun. Again, I know I mentioned knot wraps, but there's so many ways to style our knot wraps, and one of the people who introduced me to the brand made me a rose shape with our knot wraps, and I wore this beautiful rose headband with my curls for the full year almost every day that I came to work. So it's been, like you said, it's a journey of discovering and accepting who you are and how you feel about yourself.
But not everybody has to do a big chop. You know, I think also the journey is about just doing what's best for you and doing what you're comfortable with, right? It took you 2 years, which is amazing. And you got to a point where you was ready to let go.
Yeah.
And it takes some people 5 years and it takes some people 3 months, right? And I think it's just respecting that journey for everybody. So I'm still working in our hair cream. You have to take small sections. Again, it takes time. You want to really get every section hydrated properly so that when your hair dries, you have a little bit enough definition, and you have every section is nice. So basically, that's what I'm doing right now. A little bit of cream, work it in my hands, brush it through from roots to ends. You want to work your product through from the root to the end. Don't forget your root. You do not want your root to be, what's the word? Tangled.
Tangled, okay. And then more so, speaking to the root again, if you're someone who has a drier scalp or your scalp needs a little bit more TLC than some other folks, remembering that the product here keeps that in mind. It keeps your scalp as well as, you know, the tips of your hair, getting all of that beautiful product top to bottom. And also, this, you just need a little bit. So as you're using the product and we're going section by section, I think it looks like Candace is using just a dime-sized amount in each part.
Yeah.
And we're at the last step. So at this point, you would have seen almost the entire line, except for Power. So we chose the Glory conditioner for my hair again because the moisture in Glory is really great. But don't forget the Power conditioner as well, which is going to be really great to add protein into your hair, to strengthen your hair. The protein comes from sweet potato, which is just really so innovative to get the benefit of the protein in your hair while using natural ingredients. Feels like we're getting to the top. I'm so excited.
We're getting to the top and we're working it in, and it smells so good. I love the smell.
So as we're kind of coming to the top here, Candace, I'm curious about your journey as a hairstylist, working with natural hair. You have this beautiful salon in the city. Could you walk us through a bit of that background?
Yes. I started my journey with hair since I was a little girl, actually. I used to braid my own hair. I grew up in Africa, in Liberia, so we had to braid our hair every Sunday. So every Sunday, everybody in the neighborhood, all the girls would braid each other's hair. And then after I graduated high school, I decided to go to beauty school. And I went to beauty school, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And I finally found a salon, actually, and I met this lady who was doing natural hair. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Do you mean I don't have to blow dry her hair? You know, you know, it was very special to me because I always been kind of like a natural person, you know. So I finally found a place that, you know, just empowered people. It didn't matter what texture you had, from 2A to 4B. Right, you came into the salon and people respected what you had, and I don't know if you realize this, but nobody made you feel like, oh, look at her hair. Yeah. You know, why does her hair look like that? You know, and I just loved it, and that's how I started my journey doing curly hair, doing curls, and I think it's more than curls, to be honest. Doing natural hair and doing curly hair is more than curls. It's about loving, respecting someone. Their values, how they decide to wear their hair, and just encouraging them, telling them that you're beautiful no matter what society tells you your hair looks like, right? Yeah. Because, I mean, your hair is your hair. How it grows out of your hair is how it should be worn, if that's how you want to wear your hair. So that was a fast track. That was like, there's a slower version. But that's really how I started my journey in New York, doing natural hair. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Like, you know, I grew up where we went to get doobies and washing sets. And to your point, if I walked in and my hair was you know, not combed or things, or even now my mom is like, when are you gonna comb your hair? I'm like, what do you mean?
It's cold.
Like, it's cold. Touch it. Look how soft it is. Like,
yeah.
No, that's so beautiful, and the sense of empowerment, right, that you're speaking to in working with folks with curly, coily hair is, again, just accepting it and taking care of it as is, and learning the process to do that. And, you know, honestly, just thank you for creating spaces like that for women of color and folks with curly or coily hair, because those spaces are so important for us to feel safe, feel seen, and be able to navigate in the world with healthy, natural hair. So thank you.
And I think it's great that Lush is kind of creating like a line, you know, that caters to this kind of texture, right? Because there's not a lot of clean products out there for our texture. So I think this is really great to be able to share this.
It is. It's been, you know, just been so beautiful to be a part of the journey of bringing this hair care line to life. Again, prior to this, used everything within the store, but hair care was just a part where I was like, we're just not meeting the need for folks who have textured hair or folks who look like me. And this has been, again, just a game changer. Like, I don't know how else to phrase it, but such a game changer. And we've done so much in our space and in what we do as a brand to make sure that everyone is included, all people are welcome, and our products should reflect that. And this product definitely does.
And we're just working our way up, you know. You're just working our way up. Water cream section, saturate. Make sure you work your products in.
The front of my hair, if I do straighten it or leave it out, sometimes the front of my hair I leave out and straighten.
Okay.
Do you find, like, when using the products and the client's hair, sometimes the back is a bit more curlier than the front? Do we adjust along the way how we apply the product? Or
maybe a little bit less in the front. But everybody have a few different curl patterns in their hair for sure.
Yeah.
Most people have, I don't know if you notice, like 3-4 different curl patterns, right? So I always say to take care of that, you want to use a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on what texture you're working with, right?
Okay.
So of course you want to use as much products in the front here as you would use in the back. Okay. And I kind of already saw that when I was doing your hair, so I didn't use so much in the front. So this is a good example of not wanting to put products in a hair that is kind of like almost dry, because you will kind of just be working against yourself if you try to work in cream in a texture like this. So this is why we use a spray bottle, just so that it's a little bit easier.
When you say this, was it frizzy? Like, I was like, I can't see it, but I think that's what's happening. Yeah, when I let it dry.
Like, almost dry. And it's funny because a lot of people still put products in their hair when it's like almost dry.
Yeah.
It's a common thing, and they're like, but why it doesn't not work? And it's always that little. Just add a little bit of water, add a little bit more water, and work it in. Yeah.
One of the things that I really love about the Glory conditioner is the ingredient that's derived from a macadamia tree and macadamia nut oils and butters. It's a natural way to protect your hair from heat. And that's important to me because sometimes if I do add a weave or protective style and I have leave out, that hair tends to get more heat and the curl pattern, I guess it softens, right? And that's heat damage. So what are some ways that we use the product that kind of protect against that?
When it comes to heat damage, it's not something that is easily preventable. There are products you can use to help you not get as much heat damage, but depending on the styling you're doing, and if your hair is super healthy and you've been natural for a long time, you will need a lot of heat to make it straight. Do you agree? Sometimes. So I would say getting heat damage, you'll probably have to cut it off, to trim it off a little bit, right? Because that curl that's heat damage is not going to recurl again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when you have pieces that are heat damaged in your hair, they will have to grow out and be trimmed out. They're not going to become the same texture as your curlier textures.
But if you're someone who uses heat every once in a while, or adding like a diffuser, right? Or a dryer to keep your curls, it's good that the products have ingredients in them that will still protect from heating, send it under the dryer diffuser after you add all the products in.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, you will not get extreme heat damage from diffusing. Okay. That is not where you get heat damage. You get heat damage from blow drying and straightening your hair with a flat iron or curling iron.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a diffuser, I'm actually curious, how does a diffuser work? Is it steam? Is it low heat?
So a diffuser is when you add an attachment to your blow dryer that helps you dry your hair faster. Without much frizz, depending on the technique you use. It helps you, just dry the hair without sitting under the dryer. Which is great, actually. I recommend a diffuser for every curly girl. So our products are all worked in. How do your scalp feel?
Fresh, clean, light, airy. Like I can actually feel.
It's not heavy, right?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, it's not heavy at all.
It looks so good. I can't wait until you see it. You're going to be so excited. Very hydrated. Take a look. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, ready. Wow, look at
those curls.
It's so curly. There's so much moisture. Yeah, I really like. It feels
soft.
So soft. Yeah, and not because it's like wet. Actually, like pillowy soft.
Yeah, and I love how elongated the curls are now.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It feels so good.
I love it.
So we have some pre-gathered questions from Twitter that Candace is going to walk us through, and we'll be able to answer for you all.
Awesome. So we're going to get started. And the first question is, how are your products in terms of maintaining moisture? I would say amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think I might be the expert here from using it. So like, again, with my hair being really hard to normally keep moisture in, having psoriasis, being really dry, and especially now in the winter months, this product line, layering in each step along the way, it really seals the moisture in. My cuticles are really kind of smooth, and it doesn't really get frizzy so much. So the moisture is A1 if I had to grade it for staying in my hair.
Okay. And our next question is, what's the best way to care for your curls? I would say washing your hair once a week, doing a deep treatment once a week, getting consistent trims, and just trying to use clean and great products like the Lush products that we have right here. Should you change up your routine regularly?
Should you?
I would say every 6 months to switch out your products, right? Because your hair get used to what you're using. Even if it's really good stuff, to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, and actually that rings so true, because I started with the Power conditioner and I used that for about 5 to 6 months. And after that, I switched over to Glory to add in all of that moisture. And then it's so funny you mentioned some treatments just now, like doing things weekly. We have a really great hot oil treatment that we have at Lush. It's called Hot, right? So that's something that you can layer on to if you're going to take care of your curls and do what Candace mentioned about weekly treatments or weekly washes. You can add that in before you use the avocado co-wash. So that would be really great too.
Awesome. What are your product recommendations for high and low porosity? I would say for low porosity to use Glory, and for high porosity to use Power, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Glory again is a power like punch of the hydration, and Power definitely has a great amount of hydration in it as well. It does have that protein though to strengthen, and for low porosity outside of this, we also have Revive, which is a fan favorite also. Revive has this beautiful jasmine scent and a lot of layered butters in it as well. Is going to really add a great deal of moisture back into your hair.
Okay. Can I use super milk on my hair if I am going to curl / flat iron it? Yes, you can.
Yes, 100%.
100%. Because it's a heat protector. It's going to protect your hair from the heat a bit, and yeah, and not have it so dry when you put the heat on.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's important too when you're flat iron or curling your hair, you want to make sure you have body in it still. And what I will say, super milk being the primer and the liquid stuff in the method, as you blow dry your hair and then curl it, you do keep the body and the bounce of your curls for flat iron and curl. So yes, feel free to go ahead and put it in. And when Candace was using it, she spoke to, you know, just being mindful of the texture of your hair. So if you're someone with 2A or 2B, you use a little bit less, but again, beautiful product to add in for flat iron and curling.
I usually use Revive in hair curl and have curly hair. What do you recommend from the new line?
The Curl Power. So that would be a good thing that you can use if you're not using Revive that week. And even with the Revive, you can definitely switch out Curl Power for it, but you can do the lock method as well. So you can still use the super milk, follow it with the Shea Souffle, the hair and scalp oil, and layer the Curl Power cream on top of it. And those three together will give you a beautiful moisture retention in your hair as well. And yeah, feel free to kind of swap through Revive and Curl Power.
What's the best way to combat frizz? Moisture. moisture to combat frizz. Moisture and water. So I would say Glory, use a lot of water, section, and just try to hydrate your hair weekly with deep hair mask. What would you recommend for a toddler?
Oh, for our little folks. Well, again, the whole line, I think using the avocado co-wash would be so great though for a toddler. Again, the avocado co-wash is SLS free, and it's a beautiful bar that you can use on your toddler's hair. And it'll actually be easier if, you know, your toddler wants to try and rake it through their hair themselves. I think that that's a great product for a toddler to start with. And similar to adult hair and things, it'll be based on your toddler and their hair type. So if you find that their curls or coils are a bit easier to comb through, they easily retain moisture, you use a little bit less product. However, the full line is beautifully used in anyone's hair. Yeah. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you again, Candace.
You're welcome.
Doing my hair today. It feels so great. And I can't wait to see us next time for our next special live.
Thank you.
Bye.